if you ask uh, all the people on this forum, if you ask yourself what is it that you would want to do if not the corporates, more than 50% would say that you would want to play some sport or the other. Some are fortunate enough to live the dream, and also do the corporate journey at the side. So before I begin, just want to do a quick cross check if you can hear me correctly, because I just got a feedback that the voice isn't that clear. Can you guys just quickly let me know if that is clear?
Aditya, you are loud and clear unless and until anyone has any other feedback. At least to me, you are loud and clear.
Excellent, excellent. So as Prakash mentioned, I did play for the state of Maharashtra, and cricket has been with me. So let me just take you through my journey of sales as well as cricket for the last uh, 16 odd years that I have had the privilege of doing both. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, we can see.
yes, Aditya, can you put it in presentation mode? We
I
can see.
will just do
Yeah.
that. Excellent. So the topic for today is sales and cricket, the unusual parallel. Uh, I do realize that a few of the members on the forum may not be cricket players or may not be cricket enthusiasts. For them, well, you can just replace the word cricket by sport. Choose a sport of your choice. I'm sure the learning that I have had over the years would be something that you would also resonate. Uh, to begin with, something that is always said in the corporates whenever you go out in the open, you go out for a job interview, or you have a look at any resume. One thing that you always have a look at is what is the kind of sales that a certain individual has done. uh, I often come across this statement, and I'm sure you guys also have come across this statement, which says that, do you want to grow in your career, you need to do some sales. When I look back at this statement, I'm sure everyone else had this statement at some point of time. I had it very early on in my career. So I took a step back before we got online, and just uh, had a relook at this statement, and I realized certain things. Uh, Sales, it makes you the person that you are today. If you look at yourself, you started your careers maybe 4, 5, some 10, maybe some 15 years back, and the person you were then, or the person that you are now, post having experience in sales. Now, I don't mean sales as just closing a deal, or just uh, getting a deal for your company. There are a lot of preludes to, and um, preludes to sale, if I can call it, wherein sales is a 360-degree approach to your company. Like I mentioned, it makes you the person you are. It gives you the ability to improvise. Not everything always goes to plan. You need to think out of the box. It makes you collaborate with your team members. It helps you grow your team, and most importantly, it builds a face to your brand. Now, why do I say it builds a face to your brand? Imagine this: you walk into a consumer durable store. The first person that you meet, imagine this: you're going to buy a washing machine. You walk into, say for example, an LG store. The first person that meets you is a salesman. If that salesman is rude to you, or he does not care about what you want from the washing machine that you're looking at, you're never going to come into the LG store showroom again. Now, LG as a product is very good. It was just that the salesman wasn't to your liking. I'm sure you have come across this uh, scenario where you have let go of some product just because the salesman wasn't good. That's what I mean when I say that you, as a salesman, are the face to a brand. Often, when you think of any product that you want to buy, any service that you want to consume, you always first give a call to the sales guy who helped you the last time round. So as salesmen, as the last speaker who was there on Saturday rightly mentioned, we are all warriors. We are the unknown warriors of our company. Uh, there are people who look down upon salesmen. They say that, you guys are just salesmen. You just are sabun bechte ho. But at the end of the day, it's because of us that the revenue flows into the company. That same revenue flows downstream into several other pockets of the company, which helps us grow the brand image. One of the aspects of how sales is important to everyone's life is what I will be capturing going forward. But I will, because of my close association with sports, more so cricket, I will like to talk of how cricket in general has shaped me into becoming the person that I am, and how is some of the learnings that I got through cricket is something that I have easily related along with sales. So one of the lines that is there at the National Cricket Academy of India, which is in Bangalore, which should resonate with each and every one of us, is sport does not build your character. Sport reveals your character. So much like sales. Sales does not make you just the person. It reveals what kind of a person you are. And that's something that I would want to tell you in the subsequent slides. Now, how many of you identify these two women? Can I have a quick show of hands, or if you can just quickly tell me who these women are?
She's a big. I mean, the old lady is a big fan of Virat Kohli. She's
Okay,
recently expired.
okay. How about the lady having the dairy milk? That's a quick giveaway. How many of you remember the Cadbury Dairy Milk ad,
I do remember.
which was based on cricket?
She is the same
So
lady who
the point that I'm making there. Yeah, sorry, go on.
she is the same lady who runs into the ground and then because of the happiness and the joy. Okay,
Yes,
great.
yes, yes, yes. So you are looking at two ladies here. The granny on the bottom of your screen was also the face of the Pepsi swag campaign. Now ever wondered why sport is so relatable to everything that we do in our lives? Give it a thought. Everything that you're doing in life, unknowingly you are selling. Be it you are in the HR field, you're in the operations field, uh, all the couples, or rather the lovebirds on this forum, if you have a wife, you have unknowingly sold her something. That's why she's with you today, right? On a lighter note. So unknowingly you are selling everything to everyone. You walk into a store, be it the LG store, the consumer durable store, or a sports store, or any store, or a service center of your choice. You always want to engage into a communication channel which will help you get the other person onto the same frequency and then strike a good deal. Unknowingly you're trying to sell. Now, sports in general is so much like sport. Every sport that you see on TV, be it an individual sport, or be it a team sport, every person coming onto the ground is is wanting to show his potential out in the open. Unknowingly, he is a salesman of his own brand. A Virat Kohli is a brand in itself. Sachin is a brand in itself. Rahul is a brand in itself. Lakshman is a brand in itself. If you recollect, I have not said Sachin Tendulkar. How do you know I was talking of Sachin Tendulkar? Or how do you know I was talking of Rahul Dravid? How do you know I was talking of VVS Lakshman? They are a brand in themselves. Whenever you talk of these stalwarts of the game, they are brands in themselves who have unknowingly sold their persona, their performance, and their brand to you, right? One of the things that I often get in sport is sledging. I'm sure when I say the word sledging, the abuse and crossing the line comes to your mind. But what really is sledging? As Steve Waugh, the legend of Australian cricket, has rightly said, sledging is an art. It's an art of getting into the mind of the opposition. To understand more of sledging, or rather, why do you sledge in sport, and is it really important? Let us look at the next slide, and let's see how that is important to sales. Now, how many of you know the difference between involvement and commitment? If someone can just tell me what is involvement, what is commitment, or let me put it the other way, how many of you think this is the same thing that I'm talking of? Anyone?
Both are different, in my opinion.
Okay.
Different.
Okay. Can someone tell me what is the difference between the two? What are you when you're involved? What are you when you're committed?
When you are involved, there is no accountability, but when you are committed, there is an accountability and responsibility that you need to carry.
Excellent. Excellent. What if I told you that the answer to whether you're involved or committed lies in the simple breakfast dish that is served around the world every morning? Now, how many of you can understand what is on the plate? There is pieces of bread, there is bacon, and there is eggs. Involvement is like an egg. Commitment is a bacon. The egg to a chicken is involvement. The bacon to a pig is commitment. When the chicken lays its eggs, it has just left a part of its body. There is no harm to the chicken, and the chicken walks away. The pig sacrifices its life to serve you the bacon. As sales, you need to walk a thin line between being involved and committed. When I say involved and committed, you need to give certain amount of freebies, if I can call it, or certain relationship goodies to the client, but you also need to be committed to your company in order to get the revenue for the company. As sales, whether it be hunting for an opportunity or farming for an opportunity, you need to be committed. Now, let's look at the next slide. As Prakash rightly mentioned, when we talk of cricket, you cannot move ahead of this legend in any right. Uh, I'm sure everyone has seen Sachin play. So let me tell you the 3 Ds of cricket. Right, this was something that was ingrained in us right from the beginning. So the 3 Ds in cricket. The first D in cricket is determination. If you're determined to do something, you will find a way to do it. There cannot be a plan without a determined approach. Second is dedication. Dedication is doing something when no one else is watching. And the last is discipline. Discipline is doing something without worrying for the result. Imagine doing sales without being determined, without being dedicated, without being disciplined. If there ever was a salesman in the world that embodied these 3 qualities, it was Sachin. He was determined to help India win. He was dedicated towards the flag that he always carried proudly on his helmet. And he was disciplined enough to practice even when it was pouring in the streets of Mumbai. But above all, Sachin was an absolutely humble gentleman. Let me give you an instance of how humble he was. Now, this was my first interaction with Sachin when I was 21 years of age, right? This was in the year 2008. We were at the Wankhede Stadium and we had just finished our Mumbai Indian practice. Now, I wasn't part of the Mumbai Indians at that point of time. I was just there as a net bowler. We had practiced from approximately 3 to 4 p.m. right up to 8 p.m. And it the dinner was laid out on the table. We were all in the dressing room, and being the 21-year old then that I was quietly standing in one corner, just looking around the dressing room, and also keeping one eye on Sachin as to what he was doing. What was his preparation before a game? There was something that I wanted to take out of that so-called interaction. So I had that one eye on him. Sachin being Sachin, he realized that, and he just looked up to me, and we spoke in Marathi. So he just said, "Why aren't you eating anything? That the dinner is laid out. I'm sure you bowled much. You must be hungry. You're not eating." Now imagine this. This is Sachin, who already has 35 Test hundreds to his name. There were already 15,000 runs, international runs that were there to his name. In spite of that, he was chatting to a youngster who was nobody in the Mumbai Indians setup, right? Now, me being me, I just said, "Well, I'm not hungry." Obviously, I was shy. Obviously, I was taken aback by someone like Sachin speaking to me. Uh, and he sensed that, and he said, "Okay, fair enough. It's just 7:45 right now. You know what? I'm not hungry too. So how about this? Let's wait till 8. Maybe I'll get a little hungry. I don't know about you, but if you don't get hungry, I'm willing to wait till 8:30 till you get hungry. Then we can have a meal together." This was the simplicity and the humbleness of the man. Being in sales, this is one quality that has stuck with me ever since I started my corporate career. No matter the deal that you get for your company, you need to understand that there are several other players, there are several other factors that have involved into getting that deal across to you. Be humble, be grounded, and that's how you will get your next deal. How many of you, you obviously know these two gentlemen, but if someone can tell me the screen grab that I have of these two gentlemen, can you guys tell me the background of this? Can someone tell me?
I think this is Anil Kumble. I mean, in the test matches, he was taken in one innings. He was taken around 11 wickets against
Okay.
Australia.
Something else about this
So
this
this,
this particular photograph?
yeah, this was
He
Anil
was
Kumble with a broken jaw, and he still continued even when people were telling him not to play. And that was probably when he was ousted from the team, I think. And then he was planning to make a comeback, and that was some ad that was revolving around him. So maybe these are.
Excellent. So the first photo is of Anil Kumble with a broken jaw. This happened in the West Indies when he got hit by a vicious bouncer. Um, Anil Kumble being the man that he is, the dressing room staff and a very close friend of mine, the physio at that time, mentioned that we were all ready so that we could just take him to the hospital, and then that was the end of his tour. Anil Kumble had other thoughts. He just said, "You know what? I'm going to go out and bowl. If you guys don't wrap me up on my jaw right now, I will wrap it up myself and I will go and bowl." Uh, every over, the physio was down at the boundary line, wrapping Anil Kumble's jaw after every over, because such was the enthusiasm and such was the dedication of the man that he wanted to get Brian Lara out, and he did. He did. The second photo there is of Saurav Ganguly. Now, if you guys who have not seen this ad, you need to watch this ad on YouTube. It's a Bhule To Nahi campaign by Pepsi. Now, this was Saurav Ganguly, who had basically transformed Indian cricket when it was down and out after the match fixing scandal. This was Saurav Ganguly, who was the captain of the Indian cricket team who took it to the 2003 World Cup final. This was the Saurav Ganguly who made the Australian captain wait at the toss. This was the Saurav Ganguly who scored a debut 100 at Lord's. In spite of this, he did an ad. The first line of the ad was, "मैं सौरव गांगुली हूं, भूले तो नहीं." It takes guts to say this on national television, which is what is the entirety of the learning that I have from these two gentlemen, which is resilience. If you're resilient in your field, no matter what happens, you will be successful. Now, I would like to tell you a short experience that I've had along with Kumble and along with Ganguly. So when I had taken the 10-wicket haul, there was a article in the paper which said Dole does a Kumble. It was in the DNA which I still have with me, and I showed it to him, and he said, no matter what happens, you need to keep on performing. And I'm going to tell you a short secret. He said, I hate going on fitness drills, but if you want to play for India, you got to be out in the on the ground before anyone else. You got to show the fitness drill that I'm not the one tired of you. Make the fitness drill try. I want to make the fitness drill tired of Anil Kumble. This was the persona of the man. Ganguly, I met him at the Eden Gardens when I was part of the development squad for the Kolkata Knight Riders, and I asked him a simple question. I said, Dada, you have done this ad. This is an ad that I don't think anyone else in India would have done at that point of time. Don't you ever feel the pressure? Don't you ever feel, why do I have to do this? Don't you ever feel that this is something that is not for me? So he said, remember one thing. Even if you're playing the first test match of your career or you're playing the 100th, there will be an iota of doubt in your mind. Don't misinterpret this doubt of that is there in your mind as you are not confident. You are always confident. That doubt is just a monkey sitting on your back telling you unknowingly that you have it in you to go out there and perform. The moment you have that doubt out of your mind, you need to know that it's time to wrap up your career and move to something else, because you just have got complacent. So one of the learnings that I had from these two gentlemen, and is absolutely critical to our sales life, is not only were they absolutely resilient, but they were responsible. These guys are single-handedly responsible of turning the Indian cricket on its head. Ganguly, because he transformed the cricket career of of all the legends that you have today, of transforming Indian cricket from the excruciating lows that we had, and Anil Kumble to taking India being the #1 test side in the world. How many of you have seen Rahul Dravid defend the ball? He defends the ball as if his life depends on it. Now, there are cricketers who were determined. There are cricketers who were absolutely resolute, and then there were cricketers who were determined to play for India. One of the qualities that Rahul Dravid had, and I was fortunate enough to play alongside him in the Rajasthan Royals, was he believed that he could play. Sales is about belief. Believing in your company, believing in your motto, believing in your product, the solution, or anything that matters when you want to sell. This, according to me, is a single factor that supersedes the 3Ds. It supersedes resilience. It supersedes taking responsibility. If you have belief, all other factors can easily fall in line. Now, honestly, tell me, can you guys think of sales without these core components? These are components that not only cricket, but any sport, like I mentioned, for those who do not relate with cricket, these are components that each and everyone will resonate to, no matter what sport they are in. Moving on to the next slide, you obviously know this legend. He was my captain when he handed the 44th cap of the Rajasthan Royals to me. Now, there are a lot of perceptions that are going on with Shane Warne. So I want to ask you two very important questions, right? How many of you think Shane Warne conducted team meetings? Can someone tell me? Yeah. Anyone?
None, I think, because everyone is clueless.
Okay. What if I told you this? Shane Warne conducted team meetings before every practice session, before every game, before anything and everything that we as the Rajasthan Royals unit did. Now, what do you think was discussed? You would be amazed at what I'm going to tell you. Everything related to your opponent, whether it be what kind of a shot he would play, what kind of a game plan was there against a particular player, what kind of a team that that player or that or your opponent would set up, and you would be amazed at this. There were instances where he also planned every sledge that he would make to the opponent. Such was the core and the granular plan that Shane Warne had in his mind, be it at 1 o'clock at night or at 6 a.m. in the morning. Every practice session that we went to, Warne was number one name on the list. And he just mentioned a simple word once we got onto the team bus. If you guys are here in this team bus, if you guys get up in the morning thinking of doing something, it just means that you're motivated. You don't want anyone else to motivate you. What is it that you want to improve? If there is no plan in your mind as to what you want to do once you go onto the ground, please get off this bus. There would be no hard feelings. Every time he went, I have personally seen Shane Warne bowl at the CCI at 2 p.m. in the afternoon in the sultry Mumbai weather for 2 hours on a single stump. He never allowed anyone to come close to him. He just took a big ball of a big bucket of full of balls and just went there and just slogged it out. Everything that Shane Warne did was entirely chalked out in his mind. He ensured that every one of us had a plan. He ensured that if that plan is not successful, he had a plan B. I will talk more of plan B in the subsequent slide. But the point that I want to make here is sales cannot be done without a plan. If you have a plan in mind, no matter or rather let me put it this way, no matter how determined, disciplined, dedicated, resilient, responsible or humble you are, if you don't have a plan, the entire pillars of sale is just going to collapse. How many know these two gentlemen? I'm sure the swing sultans of the world, as they were called, are on everyone's mind when you talk of reverse swing. But the point that I want to make here is, how many of you think these two were the best of friends? How many think these two gentlemen here were the best of friends and they got along really well?
Yes, they are from the Pakistan team, right?
Yes.
Wasim Akram and one is the
Waqar Younis.
Waqar.
I don't think so. They were best of friends because there were news along saying there was a rift and all, but they're not sure. That's
Exactly. These guys were absolute kings when it came to components of the reverse swing. These guys single-handedly demolished the entire opposition, but they were never the best of friends. And rightly so. In a team, if you're looking for a friend, you are in the wrong place. A team is a set of individuals just working towards a common goal. Every individual has a character of his own. If you want that person to lose the character that he or she has, and you want to turn him into a friend, you've lost half the battle there and there itself. Sales is entirely about how you work as a team. Respect the other people's differences, respect the other people's opinions, and move forward. Sales, like I said, is not just about closing the deal. There are many preludes to sale, and there are a lot of post support activities to sales. Let me I'm going to make you a really confusing statement now, right? Sales is a team effort. Much like cricket, sales is a team effort. However, you're always alone when you execute one. For those that it is confusing, let me simplify it for you. Cricket is a team sport. Football is a team sport. Tennis is an individual sport. But what if I told you cricket and tennis is as much an individual sport as you take it to be? You can have the best support team with you. You can have the best mentors working with you. You can have the best coaches working with you. You can have the best teammates that you could ever have. But when you're standing up to the mark, when you want to bowl the ball that is going to give you the World Cup final, no one else is going to hold your hand and make you bowl that ball. It is you who has to do it. Much like sales, you can take an entire army to a sales meeting, but you cannot have 20 people standing in line giving a sales pitch at one go. There is always one person who is making that sales pitch. Everything depends on that one person. It's as much it is as much an individual play when it comes to making a sale. Now, one of the things that uh, our mentor at Rajasthan Royals, who was also the head doctor, as we would call him, uh, for the Rajasthan Royals as well as for the South African cricket team, was a certain individual by the name Mr. Jeremy Snape. He was an off spinner who played for England, and he always mentioned one thing to us before we went onto the ground. We had all our plans chalked out. We had everything. The entire support team was rooting for us. We were playing in Jaipur, where the entire stadium came out just to support the Rajasthan Royals. And he just mentioned, guys, do not forget the 2 second chill, or as he would in his typical British accent call it, uttejana. He said, if you have the 2 second chill before you execute something that is going to help your team win, you will have it covered. What he just meant was, when you're standing at the top of a mark, when you're willing to bowl, or you're willing to face the ball from someone like a Lasith Malinga, and you need 4 runs to win, you need to be calm from inside. You need to have the ability to think as to what the other person is going to do. Yes, you're going to execute it yourself, but if you're calm, if you are composed, if you have it covered, you will cross the line. Much like sales, you cannot be overexcited about a sale. You need to be calm, you need to be composed, you need to work as a team, but also ensure you need to take other people's opinion in mind before you go and execute your sale. Now, the round the wicket theory. Now, for cricket buffs that, or rather for people who are not cricket buffs, round the wicket theory is a coined term that we generally use, which is taking us through the most important learning of sale, which is improvisation. Round the wicket theory is nothing but executing the same ball to the same batsman from a different angle of the pitch. End of the day, you as an individual, as my cricket coach, Mr. Chandrakant Pandit, who also helped several Ranji Trophy teams win the title, always told me, it is important to know what is your skill, but do not forget the most important thing on any given day. You need to know you have a skill A, but what is happening for you on that day? Every day, your body is going to feel a little different. How is the wicket like? What are the uncontrollable factors that you have on that given day? How are you going to change the game plan based on those uncontrollable factors? What time of the day are you bowling to the batsman? Are you fresh? Is the batsman fresh? Is the batsman willing to negate what you want? And he always mentioned one line: a bowler is always taught to bowl on the good length area, on off stump, but the batsman is also taught to fend off the ball that is landing on the good length area. If both the batsman and the bowler just continue doing that, it is just going to be a boring game. No one is ever going to get out. No one is ever going to score runs unless you have an improvisation factor that you get in. The most important thing of an improvisation is clarity of thought. Let me give you one example. Everyone has VVS Lakshman, or rather has seen VVS Lakshman play against the Australians. Now, it was the 99 season, the 1999 season, when VVS Lakshman had already made his debut for India and was subsequently dropped from the Indian cricket team. One of the reporters asked him, do you think you can make a comeback for India? And do you think you can fit into the Indian current batting setup? And he just gave a simple answer. He said, I am about to play my Ranji Trophy game. There are 9 Ranji Trophy games in this season before the team leaves for Australia. If I can score 900s in this Ranji Trophy season, I will ensure, or rather, these hundreds will ensure that I go onto that plane to Australia. Now, open the internet, search VVS Lakshman 99-2000 domestic cricket Ranji Trophy season. This is a long-standing record even today. He scored 1,415 runs in 9 games with 800 and a double hundred. Next is history. He went on to the on the tour of Australia and emerged as the highest run getter alongside Sachin Tendulkar. Now, this photo, you must be thinking what this photo is about. So let me give you a short experience that I had in one of the IPL games. So the prelude to this photo is we were playing a practice game against a team before the team was to be selected for the first IPL game. This was in the year 2010. I was called on to bowl for the slog overs. Slog overs for bowlers is always a death nail. They always think that bowlers are going to go for plenty. So I came on to bowl. Shane Warne was the captain. He gave me the ball and he said, okay, what's your plan? What are you going to do? And I just said, I'm going to bowl round the wicket. And clearly taken aback, he said, are you sure round the wicket? Because no one else at that point of time had bowled round the wicket in any of the games. So he said, are you sure you're going to bowl round the wicket? I said, yes, I'm sure. Just let me just bowl 2 balls and I will show you what I am talking of. And he just trusted me blindly and he said, all right, go on. And he just gave me the field that I wanted. The batsman on strike was Dimitri Mascarenhas, the England all-rounder and a devastating batsman in the slog owners. It was the 18th over of the game, and I bowled 4 dot balls and got hit for 1 boundary, just giving 4 runs in the entire over. At the end of the over, Shane Warne came up to me, just put an arm around my shoulder and said, this is a revelation. I'm going to use it in the game and just be prepared. We executed the same strategy in the game against Mumbai Indians, and this is the picture of me pointing out to Shane Warne after I had dismissed Kieran Pollard of a Yorker bowling around the wicket. So improvisation in SAIL, you can have all the factors going on for you. End of the day, there are some uncontrollables that you need to factor, account for some variable change. And that is the biggest learning that I've had from sport. You need to account for variable change. You need to have the round the wicket theory in your back pocket. The next photo again is something that was the biggest learning from my IPL career. And we are moving on. We are strict with time, as I can see. So I'll try and quickly wrap it up. This was
sorry, Aditya, you can don't worry about the time. It's interesting. You can go on. Don't worry. Yeah.
Okay. So this was a game against the Kings 11 Punjab in the IPL. Kings 11 Punjab were going strong. This is incidentally the game where Jayawardene had just come off a massive 100 in the previous game. He was the man in form, and Jayawardene and Yuvraj Singh were on strike, and they were 100 for 1 at the end of 10 overs. When I was bowling the 11th over, Shane Warne just set a field, and it was a really aggressive field. If you saw in my previous slide of Shane Warne, where, let me just quickly go back to it. I had this tagline of how are you getting him out? So the entire motto of Shane Warne, no matter what the situation was always finding a solution or a simple solution to the problem. He just thought that if you were not defensive in your approach and you were aggressive and going directly to the head of the opposition and you're going to get him out, you will control the game from then on. So this was the 11th over. The field set in the 11th over of an IPL game in Jaipur, which was the flattest deck, was Shane Warne was himself standing at slip. He was standing on first slip. I bowled the first ball, got hit for a boundary, and I just signaled to Shane Warne that I don't want you at slip. I want you somewhere else. And he just put his hand out and said, I trust you. I trust your abilities. Just go and bowl the same ball again and just trust me. The next ball, Jayawardene nicked it. Shane Warne caught it. And this is me jumping in joy. And I just walked up to Shane Warne and I said, this isn't a bowler's wicket. This is an entirely captain's wicket. End of the game, I just took him in a corner and I said, how did you know that he's going to get out there? What was going into your mind? We would have considered another boundary and the entire equation of the game would have changed. And he just said a simple thing to me. He said, I'm willing to lose the battle if I can win the war. He said, I'm willing to concede some runs over here, but I know what my end goal is. I know I can get him out. I have the confidence in your ability. That to me was the biggest learning that any leader could have imparted on his troops. He always maintained a simple line. He says, everyone says that you should have the best resources going to a war. For me, it was understanding who my resources were before I went for a war. I don't have to talk to all 11 resources. I just need to key in just one resource who is a catalyst, who will help the other 11 make my job a lot easier. One of the things that he always mentioned to us was we never had meetings after we lost a game. We never had meetings after we lost a game. We always had meetings after we won. And he said it's important for people to have their own time once you lose something, but it's equally important to gather around and to understand what went right after winning a game. And that was an absolute key thing that has stuck on with me today. Imagine this: you win an important sales deal, you go out and you celebrate, but seldom do we sit back and think what made us really win this sales deal. How can we just climb higher from this? We often sit back and say, okay, why did we lose a sales deal? It's okay, we lose. This is sales. Like I'll mention in the next slide, we can lose, it's okay, but when you win, don't let that winning feeling just slip away. So that was the biggest learning that I got from the likes of Shane Warne, where he was willing to lose something in order to win something that would have helped the entire team grow. Now, this is a really tough one. How many of you remember this photo of Brett Lee and Lakshmipati Balaji? Like I said, it's a slightly tough one. I don't think anyone would have seen this. So let me tell you the story behind this photograph. This is the photograph of Brett Lee hitting Lakshmipati Balaji for a 6 over covers to win Australia the game in the VB series final. Now, the reason why this photo is so important is Brett Lee, just 1 week prior to that, had gone for 200 runs in a test match, where there was an article written of him saying that Brett Lee's career is over. Whereas the next day, the photograph read, Brett Lee, the new hero. And Brett Lee's manager, then Neil Maxwell, gave him this photo framed and wrote a simple line under it, which said, remember what they wrote about you yesterday. The essence of this photo and the learning from this photo for me was, the easiest part of sport or the easiest part of sale is it will pull you down when you don't expect it to. You will lose a deal when you least expect it to. But if you sulk and if you are not willing to take it up in your stride and go in for the kill in the next sale, you're going to miss out the opportunity that has already presented itself. If you're not ready, it is going to get lost, perhaps forever. You might never get that sale. So it's important to understand, no matter what happens in cricket, no matter where you are in the game, you always have the sun rising the next day morning. I'm going to end this presentation with a small quote. And this is a quote that the great Richie Benaud always mentioned. And it was something that has stuck on with us cricketers. He mentioned Hiroshima and Nagasaki was a tragedy. The tsunami left everyone devastated. A dropped catch or a lost game doesn't even come close to that. Think of it as a game, think of it as a learning, move ahead. It's just a wrong deal. It will turn a corner. Are you willing to take it on? So that's my learning from sales. That's my learning from cricket. I hope I have uh, made sense in this entire presentation. I hope you guys uh, liked it. So I can take some questions now.